Hello there, welcome to Brian Lomax's Movie Talk and my review of Rear Window, a film from 1954 which was directed by Alfred Hitchcock, of course, and the screenplay was written by John Michael Hayes. Now, both of these were nominated for Oscars for this film and both lost. Quite rightly, I think, in the case of Hitchcock, because one of my favourite films of all time won that year, On the Waterfront. And John Michael Hayes lost out to The Country Girl. Yeah, exactly. Who remembers that one? I don't know. Not me, I'll tell you that much. But both worthy nominees, it must be said. Now, this film is pretty high up in the IMDb top 250, and it is not hard to see why. There is not much I can fault, if anything, to be honest. It follows this character played by Jimmy Stewart, who is, again, excellent in this film, and he's a photographer, and he's basically been bound to a wheelchair due to an accident that's happened, so he whiles his hours away just looking out the window, kind of peering into the lives of his neighbours. And yeah, he thinks that he's cottoned on to a murder that has happened. He doesn't necessarily witness that murder, but the things he's seeing, the behaviour patterns he's witnessing, leads him to believe, and his girlfriend, that a murder has taken place. Has it or hasn't it? The film has a lot of fun, it must be said, dealing with that question, getting to the bottom of this mystery. And I love that we never see that murder. I love that the question of whether he did or he didn't is always hanging in the air until we get to the finale, till we find out the answer to that question. We, in that sense, are put into Jimmy Stewart's shoes. We're going along with this mystery as it's unfolding through his eyes. Grace Kelly is also fantastic in this, it must be said. She won an Oscar for this, she was nominated and she did win, and deservedly so, I think. Yeah, really great performance, and one of the greatest cinematic kind of introductions for a character, I think. The way she comes in out of focus, you know, she starts her opening shot, she starts out of focus, she kind of leans over Jimmy Stewart's character, and again we see it from his eyes. That's very much how this film plays all the time. We're seeing everything through his eyes, and she comes into focus, and it's just, yeah, she's strikingly beautiful, clearly, but she also proved herself with this film to be quite a formidable actress, quite a talented actress. Thelma Ritter is also really good as Stella. She's this woman who kind of comes in and does housework for Jimmy Stewart's character, and yeah, she just has a very kind of dry sense of humour, shall we say, dry wit, and she has this her character has this interest in the serial killers, this kind of thing, so she brings a little bit of input to proceedings that is a bit on the more humorous side, but like I say, very deadpan at the same time. Yeah, so she just adds another dynamic to this core group of characters, these two characters. The screenplay by John Michael Hayes is brilliantly executed. Yeah, just the way he pulls out particular characters and details, and obviously the way Hitchcock directs that on screen, it's just a beautiful marriage between director and writer, and obviously the actors as well, of just bringing those details out and building up this picture of this world just outside your window. You know, that's one of the things that this film is about, is this idea that actually there is this whole kind of system of life going on just outside your window. You can get caught up in the minutiae of everyday life and never really notice what's going on. You have all these little stories going on inside these windows, and they're all stories that kind of play out in such a way that it acknowledges the fact you don't have the complete picture. You know, you can look into someone's window, you can see something happen, and you can get the wrong idea. You can build a picture in your head of what is going on in that person's life. And by the time we get to the end of this film, we see that in many of these cases, that's not the case. You know, what you think was happening, or what Jimmy Stewart's character thought was happening, isn't the case. And I think that's the way it is with life. I think what it is saying ultimately is that how much do we really know about our neighbours, and how much are we to blame for that? You know, we don't. I think particularly today, it's probably never been more relevant, this film, because how many of us can truly claim to know our next door neighbours? You know, I think a lot of us know people within the online community, better than we do our own neighbours. So yeah, I think that's something that this film taps into long before social media, which probably existed back then, just not to the extent that it does now. As with all Hitchcock films, there's a pretty good dose of humour in here as well, and it really works. It works very well, and it's mainly down to Kelly and Stewart and just their interplay. I totally believe in these characters, the way they've brought them to life, and yeah, I just really enjoy every moment of this journey going along with these two people. They feel like people I would like to know in real life. You know, there's nothing about them that kind of makes me shut down, makes me turn off, and there has been in a few of Hitchcock's films, not here. Like I say, they make these central characters absolutely believable and absolutely lovable, and I think that's very important given the amount of time we're going to spend with them, because we never really leave that apartment. You know, everything we see in the outside world we see from that apartment. So yeah, you have to make these characters likeable, especially Stewart's character, and they succeed with that. Something else that is really great about this film is the production design. Now they built all this block of apartments, and many times throughout it, you're looking at it, you're seeing the set, and you forget that you're watching a set. There's times when you look at it and you're like, yeah, it looks like location filming, and you have to remind yourself that actually no, it isn't. This was all done in a studio. Every last bit of it was built, and it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And if you look at behind the scenes stuff on this, the studio where they built this set, they actually took out the middle floor just so they could get that depth, you know, so they could get like 2 or 3 floors worth of building on there. So yeah, it is an amazing feat, it must be said, and the physicality of it, you know, like these days you do something like this, you'd probably employ CGI, you know, you'd get a little bit of the stage and then you'd map the rest out with computer graphics, build it up, so to speak. But here it's all real, there's no green screen in that regard, and you can feel it. You feel like you can reach out, touch it, and live with these people, all these people that you're seeing in these apartment blocks. It's absolutely brilliant. Hitchcock's direction is brilliant. The way he moves the camera across these blocks, kind of focuses in on very specific information, giving us what we need to know, just enough to keep us on tenterhooks, to keep us gripped with what's going on, never knowing all the facts, but just enough to keep sucking us in. So yeah, if there's one downside, and this is very minimal, really is, it's towards the end of the film, and it's the final confrontation between Jimmy Stewart's character and this guy. It doesn't really play all that well or believable these days. You know, Stewart uses his camera, I should say, the flash on his camera, to kind of push this guy back every now and then, just like phase in, just to hold off his attack, really. And the amount of times this guy falls for it without just saying, you know what, I'm going to close my eyes and come for you. You're in a wheelchair. How difficult is it going to be to subdue you? Yeah, that doesn't play too well by modern standards, but like I say, it's such a minor criticism. I'm literally struggling there to come up with that, just so I've got something to criticise. Not that I think you have to criticise a film, but if somebody wanted to, yeah, that's a little thing. But for the most part, I can understand why this film is so loved by people. It's still not my favourite film of 1954, I've got to say. On the Waterfront, I love so much. But yeah, this definitely comes a very close second. So yeah, Rear Window, I give it a 5 out of 5. I think it's really incredible piece of work, and I strongly urge anyone who hasn't seen it to go out and see it now. If you have seen Rear Window, then as usual, I would like to know what you thought about it. Comment below, let me know your thoughts, and until next time, crack in.